Okay, before I say anything else, yes, this watch is sold out, but also yes, it will be back in stock this summer, or as our Australian friends call it, winter. I just wanted to say that up front because I think we all have a lot of trauma, maybe, associated with watch availability, and I just want to let you know that I know that Nodus knows that you know. You know? So again, this summer. This watch is sold out because it's got a lot going for it, a lot for a $575 watch. It's not luxurious, but at this price, well, let's have a closer look. This is the second Nodus watch that I've had my greasy hands on. The first was the Sector GMT watches that use the new Seiko GMT movement. I enjoyed those, and like I said in that video, I think they could be great first mechanical GMTs for a lot of people. And maybe similar is true for this Sector Deep watch. This is, or is attempting to be, a truly affordable, truly capable deep diver. The affordability provides a lot of space for someone who's not yet comfortable spending thousands of dollars on an unnecessary piece of delicate jewelry. Not yet comfortable, but this kind of watch, this is how it starts, and this is rarely how it ends. Abandon hope, all ye who enter here. Let's get to some facts. This steel case is 39mm across, but the bezel is 42mm across, so already we're off to an interesting start. I'm going to come back to this. The length of the watch is 47mm and the thickness is 13.6mm. It has 20mm drilled lugs, yay, and a water resistance of 500 meters. See, deep diver. It uses a sapphire crystal, and on this bracelet it weighs about 155 grams. The case and bracelet kind of look titanium, but they're good old 316L stainless steel with a matte finish. And if you haven't noticed already, the Sector Deep has a left-hand crown. We'll talk about it. Okay, back to the diameter. 39mm case, 42mm bezel. I know a lot of people who would say yes to a 39mm watch and no to a 42mm watch on principle. And I know some people who might do the opposite. As far as wearability is concerned, this wears like a 39mm watch, and it looks like a 42mm watch, which I think could be pretty great for a lot of people. The length is 47mm across the wrist. In this case, my 7-inch wrist. That 47mm, that's a pretty common length for 39 and 40mm watches. But from the top down, yeah, this looks larger because it kinda sorta is. And I think for some of my more economically sized friends, this might be ideal. The bezel overhang also makes this bezel very easy to grip and turn, which I've actually been doing a lot because this is a dual-purpose bezel. It has a traditional dive timing outer ring, and then inside that is a 12-hour ring for tracking a second time zone. It should be noted though that you probably should not use both of these functions at the same time, or you may run out of air while diving in the Maldives as you're checking to see what time it is at home, or more likely, you might burn your steak while checking to see if the new Succession episode dropped on the East Coast. The bezel has 120 very snappy clicks, and it aligns perfectly. That's something I don't always see in watches, even at twice this price. The bezel is also fully loomed with BGW9 Superluminova, and it's really nicely done. There are quite a few delighters here, like the bracelet. It has quick-release spring bars built into the solid end links. So between those and the drilled lugs, it seems like the people at Nodus, they get it. Nerds like to play dress up and try different straps, and Nodus has made it pretty easy. And then the bracelet clasp. The clasp opens with 2 buttons. On this watch, I found that pushing the clasp closed isn't always enough. I actually need to press the buttons as I close it. There's some tolerance that's not quite right here, so be aware. But that's not the delighter I was talking about. The clasp has a push-button adjustment system. The system allows you to adjust the bracelet in 5 different settings, up to about 10mm total. And that's cool, but it doesn't really work as smoothly as it should, and when it's fully extended, it doesn't look that good either. Like with closing the clasp, the adjustment system is a little rough and a little wiggly. This doesn't feel like a luxury watch, and, well, it's not. I like that there's an adjustment system here, and I think it just needs a little work. Inside the watch is the Seiko NH35 movement. It has some anti-magnetism and 41 hours of power reserve. And Nodus regulates these movements to 10 seconds per day or better, which is more than twice as accurate as the movements are off the shelf, and that's a really nice touch from Nodus. The look of the Sector Deep is very tooly. especially with this gray matte finish and the red accents. You know, it took me a few days, but I finally realized what this watch reminds me of. The Tudor Pelagos LHD. This can't be a coincidence. Matte gray finish, black bezel, red accents, loomed bezel, 500 meters of water resistance, left-hand crown too? Come on. Oh, and even the markers are square and cut out into the rehaut. And to be clear, I don't really have any problem with Nodus taking inspiration from the Pelagos LHD. I think if the two watches were competition for each other, or even close to the same price range, that might feel a bit disingenuous. But with the price being almost an order of magnitude less, and the design not being obviously similar, why shouldn't people have an affordable watch that takes some design cues from something more expensive? And I do like how this looks. I especially like the big lug chamfers and the angle of the lug ends. This lug and case design, this is the same that I've seen on the GMT watches that I mentioned, and it feels like a detail that is slightly beyond what you'd expect for a mechanical watch that sells for $600. And from the 3 Nodus watches that I put on my perfectly sized and impeccably proportioned wrist, that impressed surprise is really what Nodus is going for, and I think they're getting it. The bracelet system, the sapphire crystal, the 10 seconds per day adjustment, the absurd and unnecessary water resistance, it's a lot for a $575 watch. Now, like I said, this isn't perfect. There are some areas that could use some improving. But it's watches like this, not fancy luxury watches, but watches like this that make me feel like this is a great time to be a watch collector.